Okay, so now we know what a Denver is. Now, if you're like me and sitting in college not knowing what I want to do in life, you're like, Steve, great. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know how to find these things you call Denver. All right, so let's get you some clues. All right. Now remember, I like to say this. These are clues. They are not careers, but they will get you so much closer to that dream job or dream life that you've wanted. People like me will help you take these clues and roll them into a career. Promise you, I've done it for hundreds of people and it works. And it works consistently and virtually every single time. And it creates a result that is more than amazing, all right? So here's a couple clues to find your Denver. And you've got to reflect on this. Listen, when you're doing something in life, and I don't care how odd or weird it might be, or to you, it's just not to me, but when you're doing something in life and time just evaporates. I mean, you look up and 2 hours is gone. 2 hours is gone. And you're like, wow. You've got to stop, you've got to reflect, and you've got to ask yourself, why was it so painless? Now, again, this is a clue, not a career. All right, but it is a clue, because if you're going to go to a job and work your ever-loving butt off every day, it'd be kind of nice if it was kind of painless. So what was it that you were doing, whether it was doing something on the computer, whether it was creating something, whether it was a discussion, whether it was whatever it is for you, when you have those moments that time evaporates, when it's done, you've got to stop and reflect and say, why? Why was it so easy? See, the opposite is true as well. When you have those times when you're like falling asleep and you're looking at your clock and you're like, dear God, when will this finish? Run away from those things. You've got to look and reflect on those as well, because if you're doing that every day, and many of you are, it sucks. Who wants that, right? Who wants that? So listen, when time flies, you're having fun and you've got to recognize that's what's happening. Here's another one. And you've got to get your head around this, all right? You got to believe this. You got to lay in bed at night and you've got to think like this. I don't care where you are financially, but this is a freeing thought. If you had $1 million in your bank account, seriously, $1 million in your bank account, and more money coming in every day, money's just not really an issue, all right? Good on you. I know you've got to believe this. You got to lock this down. And I'll show you why. Because the question you've got to ask yourself, if money was no object and you had more coming in every day and you had bought all the things that were really cool and fun and traveled and did all this, and you need purpose in your life, here's the question for you. What would you do for free? This is where I'm trying to drive you. Because once you remove money, and I know you need money, we all need money. All right. We all need to get along in life and live comfortably and pay the bills and hopefully have money left over. But once you free your mind from what would I do for money instead of what would I do for free, your passion will illuminate itself. Because when you get paid for doing something that you would do for free, it is a great day. It's a great day. But most people are just, they pick their job for the money. When I'm in colleges, there's always students who want to be an investment banker. And I always pick them out because investment bankers, they make good money. They come out of college making more than $100,000 a year. And it just, when you're in college, it seems like it's great. The problem is the more money you make, the more life you give to them along the way. And an investment banker might be making 100 plus grand a year, but in 5 years, they haven't had time to spend the money. They hate their life. And they're looking for a tall building to jump off of because it's just no fun. Yeah, you're making the money, but you're grinding in a job that you really didn't want because you chased the money, not your passion. By the way, if you look at the studies and you have the people here who chase their passion and the people who chase their money, right? It's a very simple, complex thing that happens. Initially, the money people kill the passion people, right? But these people are waiting for 5 o'clock on Friday. All right? These people just love what they do. They don't care if it's Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday night. They just keep moving. It's almost like the turtle in the hare. And these people, like the investment banker, if you track them over time, and studies have been done, if you track them over time, these people, they do this. and they just hate their life because they're just one out. They have money, but no happiness. The passion people, they just keep on going and blow by these people. Don't believe me, believe the studies, and it's proven it, okay? So free yourself, even though money might be tight for you right now, you've got to ask yourself, what would I do for free? What do I love so much that I'd do for free? You know, it brings back a story of my daughter-in-law. She went to work at a daycare. She didn't know if she'd like kids or not, but she went to work at a daycare and ended up loving it. And I'll tell you more of that story in a little bit. But here's the kicker for it, is that because of some tax reasons and intricacies in her financial life, she wasn't able to work for money anymore that year. Now, this job started at 6 o'clock in the morning, by the way. Okay, she's a college student, started at 6 o'clock in the morning. What she learned was she loved it so much, she just went and worked for free for them. She just wanted to be around the kids and be up and at work at 6 in the morning. See, that's a clue. That's a clue that when you love it so much, you'll just work for free. You're getting to yourself to the right spot. And then when they pay you to be there for, you know, in a place you'd be for free, you are going to love your life. So don't chase the money. You got to chase your passion. Okay. Think about what that is. Then we get into, I'm always asked, well, Steve, how do I create this work-life balance? How do I create it? And I'm like, you know, it took me a while to figure it out, actually. It really did. Here's the answer. You don't. You just don't. If you love what you do, you've got to have a partner that is at least happy for you, if not doing what they love to do. See, because people who hate their job, remember, at 5 o'clock on Fridays, they want to turn the switch off. I don't want to talk about my work anymore. I don't want any part of that, all right? But if you love what you do, you're happy to talk about it at 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday afternoon. So the reality is work and life just do that when you love your job. When you hate your job, you have work, 5 o'clock, love, fun. Fridays, fun. And there's no, I don't want to talk about work at 7 o'clock at night. Well, then you're not going to have a work-life balance. But again, if you're living your passion, you just don't care when you want to talk about it. And boy, could I tell you stories about that, because people who, well, I'll tell you one. I had a neighbor one day, he said to me, I don't check my emails after 5 o'clock and after Friday. And I was like, I check my emails all the time. I'm like, why would you not? And then I had to come home and think about it. And then I realized he's one of those people who hates his job. And after 5 o'clock, they don't own him anymore. And he is not going to work for them after 5 o'clock. On Monday, he'll resume his hell. And I was like, wow, I love my stuff so much. I'm happy to check it any time of the day. All right? That's the difference, is I love what I do. And I don't care if it's Wednesday or Saturday. I love what I do. And it's just a big blend. So the answer is there is no work-life balance. And if you're searching for it, you won't find it. It's just a blend of work and life coming together. All right? So get yourself comfortable with that. Also, we talk about how to get a position on the team, right? How do you position this to create real traction? How do we bring it down? To get the position on the team is what I call these clues that we're talking about here. What would you do when for free? What would you do when you realize time is just evaporating? You know, how to get, your passion so work-life balance is together. These are clues. These aren't careers, right? So what I call is how to get the position on the team is you've got to use these clues to help me figure out where you need to be. Basically, you need to get me in the baseball stadium, to use a baseball analogy. I will help you find a position, but without realizing what trips your trigger. What would you do for free? And what gives you all these passions, right? When time evaporates. What if I called you at 10:30 on a Sunday morning and said, I needed you to come in? What is something you're going to be like, sure, I'll come in, because you just don't care, right? You love it so much, you don't care. You see, for me, if you call me at midnight and say, Steve, I just bought a new airplane. You want to come see it? Listen, I will run toward aviation. Anything aviation, I love. I live, eat, and breathe airplanes. I'm happy to talk about it any day of the week, any time of the day. And if you've got something to show me at the airport and I get to run toward an airport, I will be there at midnight to look at your new airplane. What is it for you that'll do that? See, that's the whole trick here, right? And what I do, that is the stadium of aviation. So what I spend my life doing, besides the speaking and training, is I find reasons and careers to take me to an airport, to my happy place every day. Because for me, going to an airport every day is joyous. It's not awful. It's wonderful. I find reasons. So you've got to find that reason as well. These clues that I'm giving you, not careers, will help you find the stadium that you want to play in, and I will help you find that position, right? Because sometimes we just can't see ourselves as well as others can see them, right? So, and it works for me as well. I see others clear as a bell, but I need others to help me see me. It's this fight we're all fighting, all right? So how do you do that? Let me give you a few examples with working with so many people across the land that I've helped them see what they couldn't. Here's some obvious ones. When I ask people, if you had $1 million, what would you do for free? And what would you do if you could do anything? These are questions that we ask, and I mean them dead seriously. So, golf is always a fun hobby for a lot of people, especially younger people and especially older people. But the younger people always say, well, Steve, if I could do anything, I would be a pro golfer. And I'm like, that is awesome. You're not gonna be, all right? Because that is a very finite sport that requires some things that most people don't have. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm saying 99.9% of the people aren't gonna be a pro golfer. They'd like to be, okay? But they're just not gonna be. I'd love to be a fighter pilot, but I'm not gonna be, all right? So how do you find a career out of that clue, right? Obviously, they love golf. Obviously, they love it enough to want to be a pro, and they love to be paid for playing golf. So I tell them, listen, how about this? That's getting me in the stadium, all right? Now, how do we find that position? I say, listen, you're not going to be a pro golfer, but what if we figured out a way to get you employed with Nike, Adidas, Titleist, Ping, the list goes on and on of golf suppliers. And every day you had to wake up, put your pants on, and go to a golf course to sell golf clubs, demo golf clubs, sell clothing, sell golf carts. Hell, it just goes on and on and on. The reasons that I could help you find a way to go to a golf course and get paid to do it. This is what I'm talking about. When you find your clues and turn them into a career, it gets really easy. But most people don't think like this because they're just wandering around, wondering where True North is and where Denver is. They're lost out in the western part of the United States. Had an easy one the other day. I had a college student. He was lost, totally lost. And he's saying to me, we're going through these clues because I've got to learn about him just like I do you and figure out what I can do to help them and position my knowledge into a career for them. And he's like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, what do you like to do? He's like, well, I don't know. I really don't know. And I was like, well, what do you do in your spare time? He's like, well, I like to fish. I'm like, really? Like, break that down for me. He's like, well, I'm on the fishing team at college. I didn't know they had a fishing team at a college. I was like, really? I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, we have a fishing team and we go fish and I love to fish, but obviously that's not a career. I just love to fish. And it's just like the golfer. I said, slow your roll there, buddy. You're probably not going to be a pro fisherman. We know that. He's like, yeah, I get that. He goes, my folks tell me I need to go into banking. And I'm like, is that what you really want to do? He's like, no, but I'm lost. I was like, how about this? How about you go work for one of the boat manufacturers, the lures, the rods, the reels, the motors for the boat? There's all these suppliers to that world that you can work for as a salesperson or in some realm. And every day you've got to go to the marina, get on a boat and demonstrate whatever it is you're selling. His eyes lit up and he's like, holy crap. See, because you can always tell when people are working in their passions. And that's also why it helps to see them. And that's why I do a lot of personal one-on-one coaching, is because their nonverbals give them away. When they're not dealing with passion, they're a lot like this. They're leaned back. They're just hanging out. But when I finally hit on something that creates a spark in them, they're Denver. They lean up. They're smiling. They're happy. Like, yeah. Go to a marina every day. Work on a boat. Yeah, I love that. See, the problem is that they're taught it's just not possible. So go be ordinary. Go get a job that sucks, like everyone else has done, and let life carry you down a river that just sucks. So listen, you've got to start figuring out the clues, right? You've got to reflect. If you don't reflect, nothing's going to change. So listen, you took this program for a reason. So let's get started right now. What do you love to do when time flies? What would you do for free? God, I wish someone had asked me that when I was younger. It would have helped so much, right? The work-life balance, it's just going to blend together, right? And you start positioning yourself into thinking about what stadium you want to play in, even though you don't know how to get there. Trust me, this is a 3-part module. This is just the foundational concept, all right, of finding what makes your gears click and what makes you sit up in your chair and get excited. And right now, I can't emphasize this enough, it's okay to not believe it's achievable, because you spent your whole life believing that. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to fix that. But without you believing, or at least understanding what your clues are, you're never going to open your mind up to the possibility. So right now, it's okay to not know how to get to Denver. It's okay. Just start thinking about, if I could do anything, this is what I'd do. If I could be that ESPN reporter, I would do it. It's okay. These are Denvers. Are they all achievable? Absolutely not. But they're definitely not achievable if you haven't identified them as being potential Denvers. All right? So listen, start with that. We're going to start forming this piece of clay. And by the time we're done, it's going to be a really nice picture for you. But foundationally speaking, reflect on these questions. We'll get to the next module, which will show you things that can steal these from you as much as they can give them to you. I'll see you there.